What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex Yu, and you're watching The Road to TF5. This is just a web series we're talking about Transformers last night. This is episode number 146, and this is the episode that you guys have been waiting for. In this episode, I'm going to give you my full, detailed account of everything that I saw at the exclusive IMAX first look for Transformers the last night. We were treated to a half hour of footage, which includes behind the scenes footage as well as never before seen footage, which also mixed in footage that we've also seen from the previous marketing material. In any case, what I'm about to tell you is spoilerish. So if you want to go into this film completely clean, not knowing anything, well, this is a video you definitely want to avoid because, like I said before, a full detailed account is what I'm about to give you. Of course, based on what I can remember, but there were scenes that really shed some light on what is going on. And I'll say that it takes away some of the surprises, but Michael Bay did say that he's going to just tease us a little bit, but he's going to save a lot of surprises for the film when we get to watch it in June. Anyways, let me just take a moment to describe my experience there. If you didn't already see my initial reaction video, which was the previous video before this one, well, first of all, this was a pretty awesome event. I got a little bit of swag. There's these water bottles from Kiss 104.9. They also gave away this, it's a USB hub, a Transformers Last Night IMAX USB hub. I thought it was a giant USB stick, but it's actually a USB hub, as you can see right here. Pretty awesome. And also, of course, this really awesome poster. This is the poster that was given away at the IMAX fan screening. I mean, the this IMAX first look. It's pretty awesome. We've already seen this online, but I'm excited to hang this up. And it's a beautiful poster. And I actually saw that some people ended up getting a different type of poster in different parts of the world. But anyways, I'm glad I got this one. Also, they were doing giveaways. They were giving away Premier Edition toys for Transformers Last Night from Hasbro, as well as tickets to the premiere of Transformers Last Night before people get to see it when it comes out on June 23rd. So that's pretty awesome. I didn't win, but still, it was a really, really awesome event. Anyways, let's get right into it. Now, I've already typed out everything that I can remember from what I saw. If I missed anything, you can let me know in the comment section below if you've already seen it. But anyways, let me give you everything that I've seen based on what I can remember. So once again, spoiler warning, there's no turning back. Okay, all right. So the main idea of what this event was for is, of course, to promote the film. And there's three things that they really emphasized on. And, well, it started off with Michael Bay making an introduction, and he wanted to promote IMAX 3D. He wanted to explain to the audience and educate the audience that this is a film that needs to be seen in IMAX 3D simply because it was shot in native 3D. And it's the only film in the entire year that's shot in native 3D. Everybody else is doing a post-conversion, which doesn't look as good. Some films are just hard to post-convert. This film is going to look great because it's shot in IMAX 3D. Therefore, the 3D information is already captured on film. And not only that, they're using a very different camera that they used from Transformers Age of Extinction. In Transformers Age of Extinction, they used a state-of-the-art IMAX 3D digital camera. What they're using here is they actually have a custom-built rig for two Alexa RE65s, which is what they used in Captain America Civil War, but that was still a post-conversion. But they put two RE Alexa 65s together, and now they can create an IMAX 3D camera, which is what they used in Transformers Last Night. So, this film, this 30-minute footage, this first look is here to promote IMAX. It's also here to give you information about the characters, specifically human characters, and also gives you more information about the story. So, it promotes three things: IMAX 3D, the new characters, and also the story. So, let's get right into it. So, first of all, I gotta say that the CG footage was not 100% complete. There are scenes with Bumblebee, Hot Rod, and Crosshairs, and you could tell that obviously the CG was not fully rendered. But still, you get the gist of what is going on. Also, the audio was not complete. There are some scenes where you hear music, but no actual sound effects. And also, I heard musical scores from Age of Extinction as well as Interstellar. So that was pretty interesting that they decided to use that. It just shows that they're using temporary scores for now while they're still in the process of post-production. Now, here's where I'm going to talk about the specific scenes that took place. And what I saw appeared to take place, as far as I know, in chronological order. But what we saw was actually cut down, chopped up scenes of, I'm sure, what we're about to see in Transformers Last Night. They were just scenes that were shortened down so that we're not given the full scenes, because of course it felt kind of choppy. Scenes jump from here to here to here to here, and so that's why they're just giving us like versions of the scene, not complete scenes. So we start off with the medieval battle sequence. The Paramount logo comes up, and then these fireballs start coming out, and we get that medieval battle sequence, and it looks awesome. It wasn't even presented in IMAX 3D. It was just IMAX, and that scene just looked fantastic. Like, that was one hell of a battle sequence. I mean, this is Michael Bay shooting a period medieval action sequence, and it's something we've never seen before, and he did an excellent job with that. So it's the beginning of the film. It tells us that this is a scene involving the Knights of the Round Table. I'm not sure who they're fighting, but it appears to be another human adversary, like an adversary group. They talk about Merlin. They're waiting for Merlin to appear. Maybe he's going to change the tide of the war. But from what we see, Merlin is riding on a horse somewhere far out there, and he's getting drunk. And Merlin is the guy that we've seen in the behind-the-scenes photos who has that what appears to be a Cybertronian staff. Later on, we get to see Dragonstorm. Now, Dragonstorm is introduced in a scene that we've already seen before. It's the very first shot in the very, very first teaser. Now, fast forward to present day, here's the next scene. We get introduced to the kids. There are 4 of them, and they end up wandering into this restricted area because, based on what the kids say in the dialogue, they want to. They're kids. They want to explore. So they end up going to that restricted area where a battle took place in Chicago. They find a Cybertronian knight inside this a downed Cybertronian craft. And it's clearly a knight because we know what the knights look like. But the thing is that we think that it's dead, but it wakes up and gains consciousness. We don't see him again afterwards, after the kids freak out. They're like, oh my god, it's alive! And then they slide down the ship, and that's when TRF personnel locates them. Then they send in sentries. I'm running out of breath, and I'm losing my voice. And so they send in the sentries, the kids go running. That's when we get to see Izzy's character. Now, it turns out Izzy is actually not friends with them. She's never met them. But she saves them. So you see the scene where she wears the mask and she throws that liquid energon, throws it on the sentry, and then the sentries end up shooting at each other. Afterwards, Izzy saves the kids by leading them into underneath Canopy. Canopy is an Autobot, or at least an Cybertronian she befriends, and it's essentially an Autobot yellow version of Long Haul. Then it rises up and it walks around with this a bunch of rocks on his on his back. So we've already seen that scene before in the Kids' Choice Awards. But later the TRF they detect that energon, and then they send in an F-22 Raptor, and then it shoots it down, and then Canopy ends up biting the dust. It's a pretty emotional scene. I'm not even invested in the Izzy character, but I really felt her emotion, and I felt sad. I felt sad for both their characters. Canopy did a great thing in trying to protect those kids, and now he dies. So that's really, really unfortunate. Like I said, it was an emotional scene. I felt it, and that's a good thing, because even though I've never even met the characters, Izzy, I can feel Izzy's pain. So a great performance on her part. And then what's crazy is that Cade comes in with his Jeep and comes in guns blazing. I'm talking about using Cybertronian weapons, or weapons that he created, and starts firing at the sentries like a completely fearless character. Like, he just goes in guns blazing, and then he doesn't even care about being shot. He just blasts the hell out of those sentries, and then it goes, and then he rescues the kids, and then we jump into the next scene. Now, before we jump into the next scene, I do want to mention that there's a part in that scene where Squeaks does get shot, and that was and I had a reaction to that. I was like, oh my god, because Squeaks is so lovable, and he's more like, the more you see him, he's more like a BB-8 type of character. So yeah, he speaks like kind of like Bumblebee and BB-8 combined. So yeah, he gets shot and a part of him is missing. Izzy identifies that he cannot transform, and another thing is that one of the kids, the nerdy skinny kid, asks Izzy, "Who is that?" referring to Canopy, and then Izzy says, "As far as I know, he's my boyfriend," and that is referring to Canopy. So in the Kids' Choice Awards see a clip, we thought it was Squeaks. It's actually, he's referring to Canopy. All right, now move on to the next scene. We're in the junkyard, Cade's junkyard. Gerard Carmichael's character is introduced. He appears to be one of his employees. Grimlock comes out of nowhere. And we see that scene, or rather an extended version of the scene, where he is chewing on that police cruiser, and Cade is scolding him, "Go back into your hole." And now there's a lot of dialogue between Gerard's character and Mark Wahlberg, Cade Yeager. And essentially what Gerard is talking about is that he's complaining that working at his junkyard is really, really, really chaotic. When Cade is not around, it's chaotic. He can't control any of the Cybertronians, and he didn't sign up for that. So that's the gist of the conversation. Now, throughout his work area, there are actually a lot of Easter eggs. I can't say that I pointed out all of them, but you can at least see that there's at least one Cybertronian head there. Okay, so that is something that I'm sure that fans will pick up on. Now, in this scene, something that annoyed me was that the aspect ratio keeps on changing. Now, what does that mean? That means that when it goes to IMAX scenes, it's full screen. When it's not, it's widescreen. And then it's kind of annoying, and I'm just surprised that would happen, mainly because I just saw Gerard Carmichael in full frame. And then later on in that same scene, I see Gerard Carmichael in widescreen. Like, what the heck is going on there? It's weird. And I'm sure a lot of the critics who saw the that footage also mentioned that as well, and it's something that I think is a legitimate complaint. Anyways, it turns out that Cade and Izzy don't know each other. They met each other for the first time in that rescue scene. Izzy introduces herself, and then Cade wants to get rid of Izzy. He says that, "You're not staying here," and he says, "Oh yes, I am." And the reason why she says that is because she is fighting TRF, and then Cade is also fighting TRF. So she wants to do what Cade does, and that is she wants to stay and fight them. Originally, when we saw the trailer, we thought that Izzy meant that she wants to stay and fight Decepticons. It turns out that she wants to stay and fight TRF because TRF hurt his friend, hurt her friend, killed her friend, Canopy, and also hurt Squeaks. Okay, fast forward to the next scene. TRF finds out where they're hiding, and now they're fugitives on the run. It's humans chasing humans because these good humans are actually hiding Autobots. They send out a truckload of drones to look for them, and they look like TIE fighters. Whole bunch of them look like TIE fighters. There is a drone that is like the leader drone. It's bigger and it's in a triangle, and those things are aggressive. Now they're using lethal force against them. Each of those drones are equipped with automatic weapons, and they don't take any prisoners. They're just there to kill. So they're flying everywhere, and then Cade gets a few shots in with his Cybertronian handgun, and suddenly we meet Cogman in an elevator. I think it's an elevator, but it's a really enclosed space. And then he's a human-sized headmaster. And then he's a butler, but he kicks ass. And I mean, he totally kicks serious ass because he knows how to fight. Like he's like quick like a human, like a ninja. You know what I'm saying? And he kind of reminds me like Johan in Hellboy 2. In fact, he's a lot like Johan from Hellboy 2. As a matter of fact, I think his character is completely inspired by Johan from Hellboy 2. Anyways, drone knocks Cade Yeager out of the building and is picked up by another drone, the bigger drone, and then lands on the ground, and that's when Crosshairs picks him off. Crosshairs and Bumblebee are in the scene. Cogman starts explaining himself to Cade, telling him that what is going on and that he needs to go to England. And then Cade is like, what the hell? I don't want to go to England. What are you talking about? And then for some reason you just see Crosshairs and Bumblebee play fighting in the background, which makes no sense to me, but then it's really, really funny. Like, it's just silly. Like, why are they play fighting suddenly? And then Cogman explains to Mark that you are very, very important because of this. He has an artifact on him, and then somehow after Cade holds onto the artifact, it kind of makes his way up his arm, which is kind of weird. Like, it morphs like up his arm, and then it essentially means that Cade is a knight, or he's the last knight. He's like the protector or something. Fast forward to the next scene. Cogman takes Cade and Bumblebee to meet Sir Edmund Burton, played by Anthony Hopkins. Oh, before I mention that, Cade mentions to Gerard and Izzy that you gotta stay here. We're family now, but you gotta stay here, as in stay in America. So Cade goes off into his venture in England. So we go to this castle in England. Sir Edmund Burton is introduced, and then we get to meet Bulldog. At least I think his name is Bulldog. It's a World War I tank. It's a tank from that period, and it fires a warning shot at Bumblebee, Cade, and Cogman. And then Sir Edmund Burton apologizes and explains that he has dementia. Now, what's disappointing about that scene, as far as I can tell, is that we get to see Bulldog transform from a tank to a robot, but we don't see him transform back. And this is kind of like a bad thing that we've seen in Age of Extinction, and that is we don't see the transformation. This movie is called Transformers. We don't see the transformation, but maybe it was cut out for that exclusive first look just to save time, and maybe the CG hasn't completely been rendered yet, and that's maybe why they did that. So I won't say right now that it's a completely bad thing. It could get fixed later on. This is just the first look. Anyways, Hot Rod appears, and that was a great scene. He rolls in, and he transforms, like, in its awesome transformation, but he throws out Vivian Wembley, played by Laura Haddock, and then she just keeps on rolling down a hill. That scene is really, really silly. She just keeps on rolling and rolling and rolling down a hill. And it's ridiculous. Like, it's really over the top humor. It turns out that all these characters are meeting for the first time. I thought that Laura Haddock's character Vivian Wembley and Sir Edmund Burton are related to each other, maybe a daughter, father kind of thing, but it turns out they're meeting for the first time, and her circumstance is the exact same circumstance as Cade. They're meeting Sir Edmund Burton for the first time, and they either have some information or their characters are significant for something. Okay, so Vivian Wembley does not understand why she's here, and Edmund Burton explains everything. Hot Rod starts speaking in a thick French accent. His name is Hot Rod. You know what I'm saying? And then he's like, why is he speaking French? Is he French? Turns out he's not French, but he speaks French with the accent. He speaks with the accent because he likes the sound of it. So that's pretty interesting. It's kind of humorous. We go into this dark room, which has the remains of what used to be the round table for the Knights of Camelot. I'm talking about King Arthur, Lancelot, Galahad, and this is where we see the reference, or rather we hear the reference about Sam Witwicky. All right? No sacrifice, no victory. He mentions that. So it's a callback to the very, very first film, and I think it's the only callback to Sam Witwicky's character. So if you're looking for something which at least acknowledges the existence of the Witwickys or Sam Witwicky, this is it. I don't know if there's anything more than that. All right. So Sir Edmund Burton is doing a little bit of a backstory explanation, talking about there's the Knights of Cybertron, and you can see the Knights work together with the Knights of Camelot, and they're like the defenders of peace or something, because of course the Knights of Camelot, they're good guys, and then you see all these different Knights of Cybertron, they're gathered all around, and then they put their swords together, and it's a really, really cool scene, and it has the soundtrack of Interstellar playing in the background, which Cogman is playing on an organ, by the way, which was a kind of a funny thing to me. But anyways, so there you have it. That's a pretty cool scene. It's a little bit of a backstory scene, and now we get to the montage of all the different scenes put together. It's a combination of new scenes mixed in with scenes that we've already seen before. We get to see a scene where Optimus Prime is walking through a dark cavern. Perhaps we actually see Optimus Prime meet his creators and the process behind it. And then we hear Quintessa's voice during that scene. That was a pretty surprising scene. So we're gonna be able to see how he turns bad. Another thing is that, remember those Cybertronian ships that are flying through all those I guess tentacles of Cybertron? Cybertron. During that that scene with Ospreys, they add in Cybertronian ships to that scene, which is pretty cool. So it's a bit of a chase scene between Cybertronian ships and the Ospreys. Pretty awesome scene. Now, one scene that really made me feel like, oh my god, this is awesome. The best scene that I thought was the best in my opinion was that World War II scene where things start blowing up and you see the Nazi swastika in the background. But what they added in was two Cybertronians blasting around. Like, they were just blasting things. And that was cool. Like, I thought that scene, I mean, I always knew that scene was going to add something to it. The CG was not complete when we saw it for the first time in the teaser, but they just added two Cybertronians, and I know that that's just the flashback scene, but I hope it lasts long enough for us to actually see enough of that battle. Like, I hope that it's not a brief scene. Something tells me it is, but I really, really want to see that full sequence play out. That would be awesome. Maybe those are the Combaticons, and maybe that is our first and only introduction to the Combaticons, because like military vehicles during World War II turning into Cybertronian robots, that's freaking awesome. You know what I'm saying? So there you have it. I can't remember too much more other than that, but I loved that scene, even though it was really, really brief. There is something that I forgot to mention, and that is Bumblebee's backstory. Okay, there's a little bit of hint that Sir Edmund Burton, when he was younger or as a child, has known Bumblebee. Bumblebee doesn't remember him, but Sir Edmund Burton has known about these Transformers even when he was a kid. So that is something very, very interesting. It definitely opens a door for Bumblebee's backstory, which leads to a spin-off film. Now, I complained earlier about the aspect ratio. It jumps in and out of full frame to widescreen. If you're watching it in a regular theater, you won't have that problem. But I'm going to watch it in IMAX 3D, and it's going to be a little bit distracting. The only other thing that I feel like is not really a complaint, but something I'd like to point out is the humor. We're back to typical Michael Bay humor. Like, we get these serious scenes as somebody's already mentioned before, and then we go back to this humor, which is not, it's funny, but it's really not that funny. It's kind of like, it's that Michael Bay signature style of humor in the dialogue, and it doesn't always work for me, or at least doesn't always work for a lot of people. But that scene with Gerard Carmichael and his dialogue, like, that it's supposed to be funny, but it doesn't play out as being that funny or at all. But that it was meant to be funny, but I just didn't find it funny. And I thought that we're gonna have less of that. So anyways, other than aspect ratios switching in and out of full frame and widescreen, and a little bit of dry humor, I don't have any complaints. I mean, they didn't show us a lot, to be completely honest, but we do get to see a lot of insight on the characters and the backstory. So that's pretty much it in terms of spoilerous stuff. But honestly speaking, it doesn't give us a whole lot away. It really doesn't give us a lot of material to work with. This is a really well done sneak peek, because they showed off a lot of human scenes. And it doesn't mean necessarily that we're going to be getting a lot of human scenes per se, but this is just what they're going to give us initially. There's a lot more to see when the movie comes out, because we're still 3 months away, but I'm very pleased with what I saw, and I'm really, really excited about the film even more now. So anyways, that's all I gotta say in this episode. This was essentially a full detailed rundown of everything I saw. I hope I covered everything, but if you already saw it and I missed some things, definitely let me know in the comments section about anything that you think that I've missed. and leave your feedback. How did you feel about the footage that you saw? I would love to read your thoughts. Anyways, so my buddy that watched it with me, he doesn't need his swag. So make sure you stay tuned for the next couple of episodes, because I'm going to explain how you can win the extra poster, the extra USB hub that I have, and maybe I'll throw in a water bottle in my next episodes. And we're also doing a VIP Ragin Nation giveaway, so that's coming soon, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Anyways, that's all I gotta say in this episode. Thank you so much for watching this. Let me know in the comment section below how you feel, and as always, if you want to see more and you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter, Ragin Nation. My name is Alex. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.
And whoa, that was, they showed a lot of stuff. They didn't show like a lot of robot